Hello and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's review for Westworld Season 4, Episode 5, Zhuangzi. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong, but hey, I tried my best. This video is a part of a series of videos where I review episodes of Westworld, so I have to start with a spoiler warning for Westworld up to Season 4, Episode 5. If you have not seen up to this point, you will not want to watch this video otherwise. Some things will be spoiled for you. So I had to get up really early in the morning tomorrow, so this is going to be a really quick video. I just wanted to say, damn. So this episode was sort of the episode we needed after the big reveal we got last week, where we got more sort of information of exactly what this world was like and what is going on. And more importantly, we got really a big push move on Christina's storyline as we get a lot more information about her. So, first thing we learn is that the Christina storyline is in fact taking place in the same timeline, same time frame as the other story with Bernard, and now that they're up to with Hale and whatnot. So that's not out of a time frame. It is the same timeline. Now, the one thing I would want to mention is that this reminded me a lot of The Matrix. This season is seeming a lot like The Matrix, particularly the storyline with the rebels, as they're called, going in with Stubbs to get the outlier. Reminds me a lot of the, I don't even know what they called them, but the humans in the Matrix world who would go into the Matrix to free someone. When someone was starting to realize that the Matrix wasn't the real reality, they'd go in and break them out and free them, which is pretty much what they're in, a world controlled by artificial intelligence, and it's a fake world. And when they start to realize that it's a fake world, the rebels come and free them and break them out. I will say it did seem all too easy for the rebels to get the outlier. It seems like the machines would have had more resources to stop them, since they control every human in the city and they control the entire freaking city. But whatever. The scene where William did get all the humans to turn on them and attack them did remind me of The Matrix, how when sentinels appear, they can stop and turn and have everyone, or at least they can go into any human that's there and just start attacking the freed humans. So anyway, I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that. It's really interesting storytelling that I'm really into. Now, the question I have is, are the because I get the impression that especially the scenes we get with Hale talking to William, that they created this New York City as something for the host to enjoy, which would explain those people who are like, oh, do you see this? This is amazing. In the earlier episode, that was in fact host, and that was my theory, that it's kind of, the city has kind of become a park for hosts to enjoy. And I get the impression that she saved this tiny pocket of humanity that she controls, so that the host can interact with them. Now, does that mean that outside of New York City there's no human beings alive? I mean, that's possible that Hale sort of wiped out the whole human race, but saved a pocket of it and gathered it all in this one city just for her, just for the host to enjoy and experience. But then what's the deal with that cafe and the diner in the middle of nowhere that Bernard and Stubbs went to in the previous episode? Were they all hosts, or are there others? Is it more than just a city? Are there pockets of humanity throughout the whole world that the Hale is all under control? But I don't know. They didn't have those tower thingies there. So I'm a bit confused about that. But regardless, we got some really interesting tidbits. Apparently, when Hale discovers an outlier, they play a game where they send a host to kill the outlier, and they call it the game. But apparently, a lot of hosts, 38, by Hale's account, have been being negatively affected by doing this, and it's causing them to kill themselves. And they have no idea why. So this is another problem on top of a problem. And we saw the homeless guy who apparently was originally an accountant, but when I guess he became homeless once he started seeing the tower, and everyone thought he was crazy, but he was actually seeing what was really there, and that was actually a beautiful scene when the host went to kill him, and he was okay with it, and he was like, "Can you tell me this is real?" And he was like so happy. He's like, "Thank you," just as he got shot and killed, because he was so happy because he had no touch on reality. And I wonder if they're gonna get to that the hosts are starting to maybe feel for the human beings in that way because they went through the same thing. Their kind went through the same thing with Westworld. Now, an interesting thing to keep in mind is that apparently, and this is something I learned by watching a video, because it's been a while since I've seen Season 3, but apparently in Season 3 they were saying Rehoboam was predicting the extinction of the human race being wiped out in 23 years, which is when this is taking place. So it turns out Rehoboam was correct, and that Sirach was correct, and that having Rehoboam around was a good thing, and that when Dolores and Caleb actually destroyed Rehoboam, they were dooming the human race to this fate, which is something really interesting to think about. But speaking of Rehoboam, I also heard theories or suggestions, I would say, that that Dolores had, I didn't remember the end of Season 3 very well, but that Dolores had downloaded Rehoboam into her so that she has all the information of Rehoboam, and so that's why Hale recreated her and as Christina, and that's why Christina has the ability to control all the human beings so easily. It seems like she has even more control than Hale does. Now, why exactly has Hale wiped her memory and not made her aware of the fact that she's controlling every human being in the whole city? I'm still not entirely sure, unless this is exactly that same version of Dolores from Season 3, that she somehow resurrected, and so she realizes that she can't trust her because they were at odds with each other at the end of Season 3, and that's why she meets with her in these lunch dates and poses as a former college roommate. Her father's brother's sister's mother's former roommate. Anyway, she poses as the former roommate to in order to check up on Christina, and then in this lunch it's obvious that she's catching on to the fact that something's wrong, and she's grilling her, trying to get the name of the man. And of course, if she said Teddy, she would recognize this right away and bounce on it. Christina should have just made up some fake name, but I guess she's not inventive, but she can control people and calls like these people to collide to create a diversion so that she can slip away. And then her boss was grilling her apparently every time she steps outside of her loop. As they say, her boss gets onto her and starts grilling. I knew he was acting really weird. But apparently, it appears, because I thought her boss was a host, but apparently not. Apparently he is a human being, and therefore Christine has the ability to control him. And she goes and gathers all this information and finds out that she's creating every single story in the city. So now let's talk about Teddy, because who is he? What's his deal? Now I heard some theories that maybe Teddy was being controlled by Hale. Last week, that is. and that he was recreated by Hale. I think this week it's kind of steering away from that. I think it's kind of making obvious that he is opposed to Hale because he wants Christina to hide this information from Hale, and he's revealing what this world is to Christina, which seems like something Hale doesn't want her to know. So I do think this is a version of Teddy. If I watched the video that said, "Oh, Teddy killed himself," but if I recall, his program was uploaded to the Sublime, so this could have been Teddy returned from the Sublime somehow. How exactly? Maybe I don't know. I was thinking there was still another Dolores copy that was still out there that was left over from season 3, but maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't remember season 3 very well, but I thought there was. I don't know. Somehow he came back from the Sublime, even though he didn't have a body to come back to. Someone made him one, but not Hale. I don't know, but I think that this is the actual Teddy from Return from the Sublime, and he's realized what's happening because in the Sublime, just like Bernard, he could figure he knew everything that was ever going to happen ever, and so maybe he's got the same sort of deal. And he realized how Dolores is now being manipulated and wants to break her free of it, much in the same way that she was broken free of her loops in season 1. So I think it's something along those lines. For me, that would be a bit more interesting. But we'll see. I'm not. He hasn't. He's not entirely free of suspicion yet that he is working for Hale. That all this could just be a subterfuge. But I don't think so. I think that is unlikely. But I'm not ruling it out. And so then you get the bit with William, and he seems to be infected by trying to kill that outlier and failing, and because he had the outlier talk to him, and now he feels that he has the need to talk to the other William, who says that he should break free and find his own reality. And then we also had the thingy with the host apparently transcending, and now this obviously must mean going to Sublime, and has the opening scene of the season suggested that the Hale had gained access to the Sublime, because that, the Hoover Dam, whatever that their cartel were control over, I think was the location, the physical location where it was located, and William getting it meant they were able to access it, and so maybe all these hosts are going off to the Sublime, and that's their transcendence, leaving the physical world behind. But yet Hale doesn't want to go, and she still finds a need to control the human beings, to control the physical world. But she doesn't want to control the host. She wants to give them the free will, the choice to either stay or go. Which, again, is very interesting, especially when you think that Hale is just Dolores. It's the same person. The Dolores in season 3, it's just the experiences had them diverge in different directions and become totally different people. And Dolores in season 3 made a choice to help humanity, and this version of Dolores decided to enslave humanity. And I still think that's really interesting to think about. So I do think that Christina is that same version of Dolores from season 3 that Hale had resurrected somehow. Or maybe it's an earlier version, a more pure version of Dolores. I don't know. But apparently all the hosts are kind of made from her code in some way. But I feel like Christina is sort of more pure Dolores. But I don't know. That's, as I said, that's all of that is all still up in the air. So anyway, my rating for this episode out of 10, I'm gonna give it let's say an 8. it was really interesting, really fascinating. A lot of good revelations, some character beats, but nothing I would call like absolutely outstanding. So anyway, that is it for my review of this latest episode of Westworld. I shall be back next week and every week thereafter to continue to review Westworld, so be sure to check that out. Also check out my channel as I cover many more shows like all things Star Trek, Better Call Saul, The Expanse, and more, so be sure to subscribe so you can keep up with all of that, and thanks a lot for watching.